Stop wasting hours memorizing grammar rules and textbooks. Is there a better, easier way? Welcome to the LevelUp English Podcast, where we explore effortless methods to boost your fluency. Today, we're sharing a revolutionary approach, the lazy way to learn English. Let's listen to this insightful conversation.
So how exactly can we learn English the lazy way?
So imagine trying to learn how to ride a bicycle by sitting at a perfectly clean, brightly lit desk.
Right, with no bike anywhere in sight.
Exactly. Just
Yeah.
reading a 400-page physics manual about, balance and momentum, but you never actually get on the seat to pedal.
Which is a terrible way to learn to ride a bike.
It's the worst way. But that is exactly how most of us try to learn a new language. You stare down this massive, terrifyingly thick grammar book. You're surrounded by a mountain of flashcards.
Oh yeah, the flashcards.
Right. And you just think, if I can just suffer through hundreds of hours of this, maybe I'll eventually cross the finish line.
Yeah, it's an incredibly industrial view of human learning. We tend to treat the brain like it's a factory, honestly. And we assume we just need to aggressively shove more and more raw materials onto a conveyor belt. In this case, vocabulary and conjugation tables. But brains just don't work like factories.
Right. And when you actually try to execute that factory model in the real world, the dread just sets in instantly.
Oh, immediately.
You sit down after a long, exhausting day of work to study something like, the past perfect continuous tense, and your brain just shuts the gates.
It just refuses.
Exactly. You want the end result, obviously. You crave that magical ability to casually converse in English while traveling or effortlessly pitch an idea at a business meeting. But the actual process feels impossibly heavy.
Well, yeah, because it's cognitive overload. You're asking an already fatigued mind to perform intense, isolated, completely unnatural tasks. It's honestly no wonder people give up after 3 weeks.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because our deep dive today completely flips that painful industrial model on its head.
It really does.
We are pulling from some absolutely fascinating excerpts from a book called The Architecture of Effortless Fluency. And the core philosophy the author advocates for is what they playfully call the lazy way to learn intermediate English.
The lazy way, yeah.
Right. And our mission today is to figure out how to ditch those dreaded study sessions entirely. We're talking about weaving language learning seamlessly into the life you already live. And honestly, as someone who gets a stress headache, just looking at a highlighter,
I feel that.
the idea of a lazy path to fluency has my full, undivided attention.
Though we should probably clarify up front, the word lazy here is really a Trojan horse.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, the author's goal isn't laziness in the sense of, doing absolutely nothing on the couch. It's about designing highly strategic micro habits.
Micro habits.
Right. The philosophy is about naturally immersing your brain in English without ever treating it like a rigid school subject. We're shifting the entire burden from active, painful studying to basically passive, continuous absorption.
Okay, so let's get right into how we actually build this for you, the listener, because the book makes a really bold primary argument here. Language learning shouldn't require intense, isolated studying, period.
None at all.
It should be the background radiation of your daily routine. And the very first habit they recommend is something they call the device takeover.
Yes. And this is highly practical, though I will warn you, it can feel a bit jarring at first.
Oh, I bet.
The device takeover requires you to go into the settings of literally all your daily technology, your smartphone, your laptop, your tablet, and change the default operating language to English.
Just flip the switch on everything.
Everything. But the author stresses it doesn't stop at just the operating system. You have to do this for your social media ecosystem, too. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Every digital interface you touch switches over.
Okay, I have to admit I've actually tried something like this before.
Oh, really? How did it go?
Well, years ago, I switched my phone to French. And within about 4 hours, I was so terrified I was going to accidentally delete an important email or completely wreck my phone because I couldn't find the settings menu. I panicked and switched it right back.
You bailed.
I bailed. There is some real friction there.
Yeah, and that initial friction is exactly what the author acknowledges you have to push through. Yeah. It feels super uncomfortable for the first 48 hours because your brain is actively searching for its familiar landmarks.
Right.
And finding foreign ones instead.
Right. You just want the comfortable, familiar button.
Exactly. But if you can resist the urge to switch it back, the psychological brilliance of the strategy kicks in. Because think about modern human behavior. The average person unlocks and checks their phone over 100 times a day.
Oh, easily. Probably more.
We are constantly swiping through notifications, clicking like, share, delete, reply settings.
And mostly we're doing it completely mindlessly. We're just doom scrolling or like clearing out a mountain of spam alerts while we wait in line for coffee.
Exactly. We're acting on autopilot. But when you execute the device takeover, you're taking that mindless, deeply ingrained behavioral loop and injecting a microdose of language exposure right into the middle of it.
That's sneaky. I love that.
Every single time you pick up that device, your brain is forced to process English vocabulary, system notifications, and navigation terms. You're engaging with the language 100 times a day without ever once opening a textbook.
It perfectly reminds me of my favorite kind of psychological life hack. It's sort of like rearranging your kitchen when you decide to go on a diet.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. You know, if you leave the junk food sitting right there on the counter, you're going to eat it simply because it's the path of least resistance.
Right, you just grab it.
But if you banish the cookies to the very top shelf in the back of the pantry, and you put the healthy pre-cut vegetables right at eye level in the fridge.
You eat the healthy stuff by default.
Exactly. You remove willpower from the equation entirely. Here, you are hacking your digital environment, so you literally trip over English vocabulary all day long.
That kitchen analogy is spot on. You're manipulating your defaults. And what's happening on a neurological level here is pure contextual learning.
Contextual learning.
Yeah, so the brain is, above all else, an adaptation machine. When its environment changes, it rewires itself to navigate that new environment efficiently.
Right.
Initially, it might take you a split second longer to recognize the word settings, but by the 20th time you see it that day, your brain drops the active translation. You stop thinking, okay, settings means configuration in my language, and that means the gear icon.
But you just know it.
You just associate the English word directly with the action.
So you're forcing adaptation through sheer unavoidable frequency. It's brilliant because it costs zero extra time. You're already staring at TikTok for 30 minutes. You might as well let the interface feed you functional English while you scroll.
Crucially, it breaks down the intimidation factor. The language isn't trapped in some scary, heavy book on your desk anymore. It's living in your pocket. It's functioning as the operating system of your actual life.
Okay, so hacking our functional digital environment, the menus, the buttons, the little pop-up alerts, that is a fantastic baseline. It gets that utilitarian vocabulary into our daily diet. But let's be real here. Okay, a massive chunk of our day isn't just navigating menus, it's actively trying to zone out.
True. Very true.
After a long day of working and maybe suffering through the slight eye strain of reading an English language phone, I just want to collapse on the couch, turn off my brain, and watch a show. Doesn't this momentum completely die the second we want to relax?
Well, not if you follow the book's advice on consuming media, which focuses on turning that exact desire for entertainment into passive education.
Okay, how?
The rule they lay out is incredibly straightforward, though it is strict. Stop watching dubbed movies. Completely.
Oh, wow. None at all.
None. From now on, when you watch Netflix, YouTube, or any film, you watch it with the original English audio.
I mean, that makes total sense. If you want to learn a language, you actually need to hear the language being spoken in its natural cadence.
But here is the critical second half of that rule, and is where people usually get tripped up. You must keep the English subtitles on in.
Wait.
Original English audio paired with matching English subtitles.
Okay, wait. I really need to push back on this.
Go ahead.
Isn't reading the subtitles a massive crutch? Like if I'm sitting there just reading the words, scrolling across the bottom of the screen, my brain is taking the easy way out. Aren't I failing to actually practice my listening skills? It feels like cheating.
It does feel like cheating to a lot of people.
Like I'm just reading a book really fast while a movie happens to be playing in the background, ignoring the audio entirely.
You are definitely not alone in thinking that. The author points out that this is one of the most common misconceptions among language learners.
Yeah.
They feel guilty about subtitles.
Yeah, exactly. It feels wrong.
It feels like a crutch, precisely because it makes the experience easier to digest. But the research presented here explains exactly why this is actually a highly potent cognitive tool.
Really? How so?
When you connect the spoken audio directly with the written text, you are activating multiple neural pathways simultaneously. It's what we might call cognitive cross-training.
Cognitive cross-training. Okay, break that down for me. How does reading the word explosion on screen train me better than just hearing it?
Well, think about the massive inconsistencies in English pronunciation. English orthography, which is just the way words are spelled, is notoriously deep and disjointed.
Oh, it's a mess.
It's a total mess.
Right.
The way a word looks on the printed page often has very little logical connection to how it sounds when spoken by a native speaker at full speed. Think of words like night or colonel or choir.
Oh, man. Yeah, choir is brutal.
Exactly. By having the English audio and the English subtitles running perfectly in sync, your brain acts as a real-time bridge between those two disjointed inputs. It actually improves your spelling, your listening comprehension, and your pronunciation all at the exact same time.
Oh, that is fascinating. Because when people speak naturally in a movie or a YouTube vlog, they do not enunciate perfectly like those artificial robotic audio tracks in a beginner's language course.
No.
They mumble, they use heavy slang, they smash words together. Going to becomes gonna, what are you doing becomes what? Show doing.
Exactly. And if you only have the audio playing, an intermediate learner might just hear an unintelligible blur of sound. Right. They get frustrated, they pause, they rewind, they feel completely defeated. But with the subtitles on, the brain sees the formal text, "What are you doing?" on the screen, hears the messy "what ya doing" in the audio, and instantly maps the formal written structure to the casual real-world pronunciation. The text anchors the chaotic sound.
And the best part is you're doing all this complex high-level neural mapping while literally lounging on the couch eating popcorn.
Which actually brings us to the most important scientific concept in this section of the book, the affective filter.
The affective filter, what's that?
It's a term in linguistics that basically describes your emotional and stress levels during learning.
Okay.
When you're sitting at a desk with a grammar book, terrified of an upcoming test, your affective filter is high. High stress physically blocks the amygdala from processing and retaining new language input.
So stress literally stops you from learning.
Precisely. But when you are watching a great movie or laughing at a YouTube video, you are relaxed. You're entertained. Your guard is entirely down.
So because I'm invested in the plot of a thriller, my brain is just sponging up the grammar without the stress blocking it.
Exactly. The brain is far more receptive to absorbing natural sentence structures, idioms, and slang when it's engaged in a compelling narrative, rather than just a dry grammatical drill. You're picking up the rhythm, the intonation, and the cultural context, all without feeling like you're putting in any conscious work.
That is incredible. So we've managed to hack the phone screens we stare at all day for functional vocabulary, and we've hacked the Netflix binges we use to unwind at night to map our listening skills.
We're doing great so far.
We are, but I feel like we are tap dancing around the massive elephant in the room here.
You're talking about the output, the actual speaking.
Yes. The absolute most terrifying part of language learning for almost everyone, actually opening your mouth and producing the sounds.
It's a big hurdle.
We can absorb all the vocabulary and grammar we want passively from our phones and our TVs. But how do we transition from that comfortable passive absorption to active output? Especially when speaking usually triggers massive anxiety.
This is where the book introduces what has to be my favorite strategy. They call it the ultimate lazy speaking practice.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's a habit they playfully refer to as the shower monologue.
The shower monologue. I'm trying to picture doing this. Am I literally just standing there with shampoo in my hair, staring at the tile, talking out loud about my grocery list?
Basically, yes. The core idea is simply thinking out loud in English. The practice is to physically narrate your daily actions. Or, even better, have completely imaginary, spontaneous conversations in English while you are doing mindless, solitary tasks.
Like what kind of tasks?
You do this while doing the dishes, cooking dinner, commuting alone in your car, or, taking a shower.
So if I'm in the kitchen making dinner, I'm just literally saying out loud, I am chopping the onion is making me cry, I really should buy sharper knives. Just a play-by-play of my own incredibly mundane life.
Yes. Or you take it a step further. You relitigate an argument you had with a coworker earlier that day, but you do it entirely in English.
Oh, I love a good imaginary argument.
Right. Or you explain the complex plot of the movie you watched last night to an imaginary friend sitting in your passenger seat. And the underlying cognitive mechanics of why this works so effectively are profound.
Let's hear it.
The biggest struggle for intermediate learners, the thing that trips them up and makes real conversations feel agonizingly slow, is that they are constantly translating in real time.
Right, the translation lag. You hear a question in English, you translate it back to your native language in your head, you formulate your clever response in your native language, you translate that word by word into English, and then finally you speak it.
Which makes every interaction feel incredibly stilted and mentally exhausting. The shower monologue trains your brain to completely bypass that internal translation step.
Wait, how does it bypass it?
Because you're narrating actions right as they happen, or engaging in a spontaneous imaginary dialogue where you control both sides. You're forcing your brain to generate the English words directly from the raw concept or the physical action itself. You're building direct neural pathways to the English vocabulary.
Oh, I see. And because you're doing it completely alone in the shower or with the windows rolled up in your car, the stakes are absolutely zero.
Zero stakes.
I love this because it perfectly mirrors a mental flight simulator. Think about it. If you're training to be a commercial pilot, you don't just read a book about aerodynamics, jump into a real Boeing 747 and hope for the best.
That would end terribly.
It would. You get into a simulator, you practice the controls, you try weird maneuvers, you test your limits, and if you completely mess up and crash well, you just hit the reset button. Nobody gets hurt.
That is a fantastic analogy, especially when you consider what causes the crash in language learning.
Yeah, what does cause it?
The anxiety associated with speaking a new language is almost entirely social anxiety. It's the intense fear of making mistakes in front of others. It's the sheer paralyzing embarrassment of freezing up, forgetting a basic word, and having a native speaker stare at you, waiting for an answer.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
In your flight simulator analogy, the shower monologue removes all the passengers from the plane. There is no one there to judge you. It completely eliminates the social pressure that normally paralyzes language learners.
But wait, what actually happens when you do freeze up? Say I'm in the shower, I'm confidently narrating my epic detailed plan for the weekend, and I suddenly realize I have absolutely no idea what the English word for, like spatula or gutter is. Doesn't that just reinforce what I don't know?
It highlights what you don't know, yes, but without the panic. Because there is nobody there waiting for the end of your sentence, the affective filter we talked about earlier stays incredibly low.
Oh, right, because I'm not stressed.
Exactly. You don't freeze and sweat, you just make a mental note. Or you step out of the shower, grab your newly English Takeover phone, and you quickly look it up. You are actively identifying your own specific vocabulary gaps in a totally stress-free environment, and then immediately filling them.
It's so empowering. You're building the physical muscle memory of speaking English, physically moving your mouth and tongue around these new, unfamiliar phonetic sounds without any of the associated dread of looking foolish.
Yeah, you're literally training your physical voice.
And when you zoom out, it is amazing how perfectly these three distinct habits we've discussed fit together.
They really do form a complete self-sustaining ecosystem.
Exactly. Think about the flow of your day. You change your devices to English, so your immediate functional environment is constantly feeding you utilitarian vocabulary.
Right.
Then you watch movies with the original audio and subtitles, which trains your ear, bridges the spelling gap, and feeds you the natural rhythm and slang of the language while you relax. And finally, you use the shower monologue to practice actively outputting all that language in a safe, controlled environment. It's an entire ecosystem of learning, hidden right inside the things you were already doing anyway.
And seeing how that seamless ecosystem functions leads us directly to the grand conclusion of the book. The ultimate takeaway here, the golden rule that underpins this entire lazy philosophy is this: consistency always beats intensity.
Always. Every single time.
The author argues that if you dedicate just 10 to 15 minutes to these lazy English habits every single day, checking your English notifications, watching one YouTube video with English subtitles, narrating your short morning commute, you will yield vastly better, more permanent neurological results over time.
Then, say, cramming on a Sunday.
Much better than if you forced yourself through a stressful, exhausting 3-hour grammar study session once a week.
Because the 3-hour study session is an event. It's a massive intrusion on your life. And human nature dictates that we eventually find excuses to avoid painful intrusion.
We always do.
But checking your phone, taking a shower, watching a movie, you're never going to skip those things. They are already baked into your survival and relaxation routines.
Exactly. You are leveraging your existing behavioral momentum rather than constantly fighting against it with sheer exhausting willpower. You let the habits do the heavy lifting for you.
So to you listening right now, this is the real paradigm shift. The core message of these excerpts is incredibly liberating. Make English a part of your life, not a school subject.
Dear here.
Remember that massive, terrifying grammar book we talked about at the very beginning? That impossible vertical mountain you felt like you had to climb just to reach basic fluency? You don't have to climb it.
Not at all.
You just have to let the river of your daily routine carry the language to you. Stop studying. Start living in it. Rearrange your digital kitchen so the vocabulary is always right there at eye level. Turn on those subtitles and let your brain cross-train while you eat popcorn. And let yourself crash the flight simulator in the shower a few times.
It completely redefines what it means to acquire a complex skill, which honestly leaves us with a fascinating and, frankly, provocative thought to ponder as we wrap up today.
Oh, I'm ready. What is it?
If our brains can so effortlessly adapt to a complex, messy new language just by slightly tweaking our digital defaults and utilizing our mindless shower routines, what other incredibly difficult skills or habits could you trick yourself into mastering simply by changing the background settings of your everyday life?
The grammar book is closed, the default settings are changed, the mountain is gone, the rest is just living.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed that perspective on effortless English learning. If you want more tips and motivational content to level up your fluency, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. See you in the next podcast.